Okay, welcome everybody. It's amazing that somehow it was Thanksgiving and all of a sudden now it's December. So kind of snuck up on us. But that's why we're giving this webinar, Home Safety for the Holidays, Tips for Electrical Safety and Fire Prevention. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Those of you who are on our various social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and also on our Zoom platform. This is Lance Luke and Martin Pea, part of Ask the Building Expert webinar series. So we're talking about something very important during the holidays. If you can see the screen, there's a sign that I guess is used as an ornament, and it says safety first. I was just up in last week, Avila Beach, which is in the town of San Luis Obispo, and we went into this shop, and they had different Christmas ornaments, and they had actually an ornament of a can of Spam, which I thought was interesting. Um, that they have it in California. That should be a local Hawaii Christmas ornament. But that was fun to see all the different types of decorations and ornaments and different things like that. So uh, let's continue on. This webinar is presented by Construction Management Inspection, part of Ask the Building Expert series. And we're having a continuation of more webinars for next year. We have the schedule almost finished, but it's put up already the first 6 to 8 months. And we're going to continue giving our webinars because we've gotten a lot of good feedback from people asking us to continue and letting us know it's helpful to them. So let's get right into it. Talking about identifying common electrical hazards. As you know, during Christmas time, holiday time, there's a need for more electricity because of people putting Christmas lights. And I've even seen some yards where they have the Santa and reindeer, and they're all lighted up, and the heads move and all that. So that takes a lot of extra electrical power. So in the identification of common electrical hazards, we're looking at some red flag issues. We're talking about overloaded circuits because of additional holiday lights and decoration, which could lead to a shock hazard. And then also damage or frayed electrical wiring or extension cords or power strips or whatnot. Um, Keep in mind that the power strips are basically made for temporary use, not permanent. And if you have a power strip with way too many things plugged in, especially using an adapter, and so instead of 6 or 8 different plugs, now you can add 3 more to the 6 or 8, or even worse, you plug in another power strip to your existing power strip, then you have what's called like a daisy chain, and now you got way too many. You got to be aware of the fact that where is this power strip, the first power strip actually plugged in? You're not adding more circuits to your house. You're just adding more overload to the one main circuit. So you got to be aware not to overload, not to keep plugging in too many things. And this applies to your lights in your Christmas tree, your lights outdoors, your lights indoor. a lot of people want to decorate, so they really put a lot of lights outside their house, and there's no way one circuit could handle all the amount of wiring and lighting and so forth. So just got to be aware of that for safety. So continuing on, there's a improper use of extension cords that I mentioned. Um, if you buy an extension cord and it looks like a regular thin cord that, your lamp cord, we call that lamp cord type of wiring. That's the cheapest and thinnest gauge of electrical wiring for extension cords. So what you want to do is look for a thicker gauge, and it's kind of easy to tell because if you look at the wire, it's not thin like a lamp cord. It's a little thicker, like the wire used for your power strip, or outdoor extension cord. The wire is thicker because the gauge is thicker, and that's what you want to use. There's a difference between indoor extension cords and outdoor extension cords. The outdoor extension cords are longer lasting, and subject to exposure from the weather. Uh, you don't want to leave it on in the rain, but the sun and the UV rays and all that. The indoor extension cords are not as durable as outdoor for exterior use. So um, be aware of that, and then also the location of where your extension cords are. Don't just plug in here and there and then leave it lying around where people can trip and all that. So the placement got to be in a safe location so people don't trip over it and fall. Or what happens is people bump it and the plug comes a little loose. So now you're not getting a full contact. You're getting a partial contact with the electricity, and that could cause a short circuit. Okay, so um, important things to remember. Um, in addition to overloading and short circuit and all that, there's the big human factor. You don't want to get shocked, the electrical shock hazard, and that's the number one priority. And also fire starting. So keep in mind. Safe practices for holiday lights and holiday lighting. You got to choose the right lights. So if you have, and I've seen this before, you have these indoor lights that are rated for only indoor use, and people use that for their outside as outdoor. The outdoor lights are rated differently. It's rated so that if it gets wet or left out in the sun or snow gets on it and stuff, it doesn't deteriorate or get damaged, like as opposed to your indoor lighting. And you can probably tell your indoor wiring is super thin, especially the ones they sell to wrap around your Christmas tree and stuff. The wire is really thin. It's like almost the thinnest gauge of wire. The outdoor lighting is a thicker gauge, and even the light bulbs are different. The light bulbs for outdoor lighting can withstand more natural elements than the indoor light. So be aware of the type of lighting. When you go to buy the lights, it says on the box, it should say UL listed or have a UL label on it, and it should say uh, for indoor use only, or for indoor outdoor, or you could use it outdoors. So just be careful. You gotta, read. Now, a lot of people have lights that they've been using for years and years and years, and maybe the box got thrown away or lost or damaged. And so you have all these lights in a separate box that it didn't come, well, it's not packaged in the same box that you bought it from. So there's no instructions on it. So you're going to have to determine, is this for electrical outdoor or is it for indoor? Okay, so if you're in doubt, you might be more cautious about it. And it's kind of easy to tell. Like if you look at the indoor type of lighting for your Christmas tree, the wire's thin. You don't want to use that for outside your house. Okay, and now what I'm discussing with you applies to not only in Hawaii, where we're located, not only in the U.S. but around the world. This same information I'm telling you applies anywhere in the world, indoor, outdoor lighting and such. It's just the type of outlet and plug may be a different type, but in general, it's still electrical. You're still getting electrical in your home or your building, and you're adding more electrical to the existing system. So that's where you got to really pay attention. Very important. Some more safe practices for holiday lights. Inspect your lights before you use it. Don't just string it up and then plug it in and go, oh, it doesn't work. Or what happens is, like when I was growing up, we had boxes and there was tons of lighting, especially for outside the house. And naturally, no matter what we do after when we take it down and how we try to gather the lights, and we call it folding, but you know, fold the lights and make sure it doesn't get tangled. It always gets tangled because what is it? It's one wire, right? And you got all these light bulbs. So no matter how good you package it, the thing always gets tangled. So imagine like 10 strings of lights in a box and you're taking it out to hang it up and it's all tangled. So you spend maybe 20 minutes or so trying to untangle these things. And in the old days, they had the light bulbs, the colored light bulbs, that if it drops on the outside on your concrete or asphalt or something hard, the bulb cracks. And if you don't have a replacement bulb, the whole string doesn't work. Okay, so that's the old days. It's like all or nothing. Then later on, they had developed, uh, if one bulb burns out, all the rest are still lit. Okay, so you have to do your inspections. Look at all your bulbs. Make sure none of them's cracked, because especially you're hanging it. If you have like a 2-story house or even a 1-story house, and you get on a ladder to hang it, and you don't want to be hanging uh, bulbs that are chipped or cracked or damaged in some way. The older lights, even the older ornaments, when they crack, they're really sharp. You can get cut from these ornaments or the light bulbs. So now they're making uh, safer ones. So if you can see that hand in the top picture in a plug, notice that plug is not looking like the kind we use in the United States, right? And that's a 2-prong, and the prong is not flat. In Europe, it's a pin. It's a round pin type prong, and it's 2 prongs. So when Martin and I traveled, well, of course, at different times, we discovered that in Europe, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Netherlands, the last, I was in Portugal and Italy, and it's all two-prong adapters. And the hotel that I stayed at was a five-star hotel. And every time I used to travel, I just go to the hotel. Oh, can I have a couple adapters? But this time they said, oh, we don't have any. And they pulled out a drawer and they had a whole bunch, but none of them were the right type. And I found out that people ask the hotel and a hotel loans them out and they don't return it and they just leave. So the hotel made a policy. So I had to walk to the shopping center and buy like 3 adapters. Um, and with the adapter, it fits in the European outlet. And then you have the plug-in side, which now can fit your United States type of whatever it is. And we're charging our digital cameras, our iPads, laptops, and cell phones. Okay, so it's always a needed thing. It's a good thing when we go on cruises that it's all United States type outlets, so we don't have to worry about trying to find another adapter. So bottom line is inspect your lights before using them. And then some more safe practices for holiday lighting, proper installation techniques. Okay, you want to follow the manufacturer's instructions. And some houses have gutters, and you don't want any metal to be in contact with the gutters because the gutters are metal, unless you have a non-metal gutter, such as a vinyl type, which is no electrical conduit there. And then I used to have fun putting Christmas lights up. I didn't like taking it down. But here's the key. Don't use any tie wire and don't use nails. I've seen a lot of people in the old days, they used these nail guns and they said, oh, this is a lot better than tying it up or whatever. You just string it along and you staple it to your house, okay? But what happens is the nails and staples are metal. And sometimes when you're not really paying attention, the staple or nail could penetrate through the wire of your lighting, and then that becomes an issue, right? You could do a short circuit. You can start a fire from that. So be careful on how you string the lights. So what I used to do in the early days is we space out our nails and we pound the nail into the eave, and then we wrap the wire around the nail, and then we continue the string. So we're not actually nailing or stapling the wire. It's all loose there. So some people I notice around the neighborhood, they went all out and their house and yard is fully decorated. And then I notice when there's sales of lights, the next week I see more and more lights because I guess they go and buy more and put it up. And it's nice, especially to see houses in a row that are all lit up and decorated and, part of the celebration. And they actually leave the lights on all night. So from kind of dusk to dawn. And it's okay, but I would say for safe practices, use a timer to avoid leaving the lights on all night long. Okay? Or if you don't have a timer, make sure you unplug it just for safety. I know it looks nice, but you don't want to be sleeping and then all of a sudden you smell smoke because, one part of the house uh, caught on fire because the lights were on all night. Okay, so that's word of caution just to be safe. Now let's talk about more fire prevention tips. Your Christmas tree or other kind of vegetation, uh, you're keeping those of you who actually are using and displaying real Christmas trees instead of the artificial ones, keeping live Christmas trees hydrated. And when I was small, we put our Christmas tree up, and then we you fill the stand with water. And then we went Christmas shopping. We came back about 6 hours, and I just checked on the tree, and there was no water in the stand. So I thought, hey, somebody's trying to play a trick. I thought it was like my brother emptying the water out and stuff, but um, realized that the tree was actually drinking all the water. So the key is you check your Christmas tree twice a day. And sometimes, depends how big your tree is, you might have to put water in twice a day. The norm is probably once a day, but be sure to check it, and don't let the water just go on so that there's no water at all, or there's no water like at the base of the tree. Uh, Sometimes when you have big trees, the the bottom of the tree doesn't fit all the way to the bottom of the stand, so you have a little space there. And sometimes the water level gets so low that it doesn't touch the bottom of the tree, so the tree can't be drinking any water. Now, some people, in addition to putting water in the stand, people mist it. They spray water on all the leaves. The other thing is the location of the tree in wherever it is. If you have the tree in your living room and you have these big picture windows and the sun is just blasting in on the tree, uh, that could dry out the tree as well. Or if you use the old style Christmas lights where the bulb gets hot, it could start drying up the tree, or even if you leave the lights on too long, it could start burning some of uh, the needles, the pine needles. So these are the kind of things that you have to be aware of. People don't realize that the tree is actually hazardous to as far as catching a fire. That's why you got to keep watering it. So what signs do you look for if your tree is getting dry? Well, if uh, the stems are getting brittle, or you look at the pine needles and it doesn't look green as when you bought it. It starts turning brown and yellow, and then when you touch it, it falls off the tree. That's not a good sign, because then it's drying out. Or if you bump into the tree, or let's say you're hanging more ornaments, and uh, more of the needles keep falling down, that's not a good sign too. But uh, it's normal for a tree to shed the needles, but not that much where the tree became so dry that the needles start falling down. And then you look, if the needles are real brittle, like you can kind of crack it, that's not good either. So you want to make sure that when you grab the tree, it's pliable. You can move it around. Now, the tree has resin in it, in these evergreen trees. And uh, I used to be a Boy Scout leader for many years, and when we go camping, before the camp, let's say beginning of the year, January or so, I tell people that if you didn't throw your Christmas trees away, bring it to camp, and they wonder why, right? So I said, well, we're going to use the tree as part of a campfire. So that was my demonstration. So what I did was I took one tree, and it the leaves were still green. The needles were green. It looked like a nice tree. And then part of the campfire program, I said, I want everybody to know that uh, there's the Christmas trees are actually dangerous because they're flammable. And people go, oh, how can that be? And so I said, okay, this is a tree that somebody donated for the campfire, and I'm gonna throw it in the campfire. It's a natural tree. We didn't spray it with any lighter fluid or anything. So I threw the tree in on the small fire, and the tree just lit up. The whole tree just caught on fire. And everybody was like, whoa, what's going on? I said, yeah, imagine this in your house, right? If you have a short circuit or a candle fell or something. So it wasn't uh, it wasn't a good thing, but that that was the lesson. And every year I used to do that because there's new scouts that join and all that. And all I needed was one tree, but people wanted to see the tree on fire, so a lot of them, instead of throwing it away or taking it to the recycling, they saved it for the upcoming camp. So that's just, if you don't know about how flammable the tree is, and at that time, we didn't think to take videos or anything, but yeah, it was kind of scary. Now, in the old days, and even to this day, a lot of people use candles because it's part of the holiday season. You put candles on your dining table, part of your decoration with, um, some evergreen pine cones and things like that. I think it's more prevalent on the mainland and in other parts of the world than in Hawaii. But um, be aware of where you place the candles because it's an open flame. You don't want it too near to any tree or your Christmas presents or anything that could catch fire. Um, Believe it or not, pine cones can catch on fire. You know those old dried pine cones? Yeah, they could catch on fire too. So what's the solution instead of a live open flame? Well, you can buy these candles. It looks like candles and it's battery operated. And the flame looks real too, but there's no lit flame or anything. It's just a fake candle. And you may want to use those instead. I know a lot of places are switching to those types of candles. Even in church too, some of them are using the battery powered ones rather than the live flame. The reason for that too is some churches, they have these areas where it's just a room where you pray and you light a candle. And what happens is the ceilings get all black from the smoke. And so I remember, oh yeah, the last church I went to when I went to San Luis Obispo was just last week. Um, they only have candles that there's a lit flame, but it doesn't emit any uh, black smoke or anything. I think it's called like a smokeless candle or something. And they're using that because the ceiling and walls of that area in the church used to get all black. Uh, but people use candles for years, so they're so used to it. I don't think they would, want to use artificial one. The other thing is avoid flammable decorations near heat sources. You have a fireplace, you have candles, you don't want any kind of ribbons or paper or decorations that are too close that could catch on fire. So that's something very, very important. Some people don't realize that uh, even the heat, if it's too close, the heat could actually cause a fire. It doesn't have to be a open flame. And then use flame resistant or non-combustible decorations. Um, I don't know of people who actually follow this or even where you can buy this stuff. So I'm thinking, okay, well that's good, but the main thing is you want to keep the decorations, which are wrapping paper. It's paper. It's flammable. So the ribbons and your decorations and all that are flammable. So just keep it away from any kind of fireplace, chimney, or any kind of electrical, such as a lot of places in the cold, they have electric warmers or heaters. So that's important too. So electrical appliance safety. So there's what's called space heaters or these portable heaters that emits heat, and this is how you keep warm if you don't have a fireplace or uh, a fire going somewhere. So it could be electrical, it could be battery powered, but it gets hot. So always be aware of where these devices are in relation to anything that could catch on fire. Because although it's not an open flame, there's elements that are heating up, and you can see the red. And that's the components that emit the heat for people to stay warm. Safe use of extension cords and power strips. So, like I mentioned before, if you look at the image, this is two-prong type C, they call it, as opposed to type B, which is in the US. So this is a non-discriminatory webinar. So we're not only talking about United States electrical, but any electrical around the world. And there's different types of electrical in Europe and in Asia. Their electricity is the same, but their devices are different. Their plugs and power strips and so forth. So this is a UK power strip, and you got to use the right plugs that fit in. And as you can see, there's two holes which are pin type plug. So you select the right extension cords and power strips. Now, naturally, a United States plug is not going to fit in this, so that's not a situation you have to worry about, but it's all compatible. Now, here's something dangerous, and even the fire department would tell you, and it doesn't have to be during holiday times. I've seen this situation before. Avoid daisy chaining power strips. And what does that mean? Well, the daisy chain is you have one power strip, and then now you want to add more. So you plug an additional power strip into your first power strip, and you're chaining. So in this example, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have five different power strips. Not all of them may be plugged into another one, but you don't want to see this happening. This is not a safe situation. So now what happens if you run out of outlets? Well, that's why people use power strips, okay? But the safer way to do this, if you don't have enough, you look to where an additional outlet is, and it could be far away, right? Make sure it's on a different circuit. Run an extension cord, and now you have your lighting connected to two separate circuits rather than 5 power strips connected to one single circuit, right? So you got to look back at your circuit breaker and see which one you're going to use and make sure everything's not connected to one. Now, uh, outdoor lighting is the same thing. You want to do this situation, and you don't want to have only one circuit powering all your outdoor lighting. Now, if you look at after you install your lighting, if you turn it on and things start dimming around your house, that's not a good sign. Okay, so it's overload factor there. Like I mentioned before, safe use of extension cords and power strips. You want to use proper placement to prevent tripping hazards. So if you have a long extension cord, uh, probably best to put something over it, like a throw rug or something, so people don't trip over it. Especially during holiday times, a lot of people have parties and kids are running around, and there's more people in your house than usual. So uh, then you have a lot of different lighting going on, extension cords and power strips and all that. So make sure all that it's safe. So I'm going to talk about extension cords and power strips. Now, um, I mentioned this before, but what you want to use is the thickest gauge of extension cord that you can buy. Now, if you have an extension cord that it's a thick gauge for outdoor use, okay, that's a safer gauge than a thinner one that would be used for indoor. Now, there's extension cords for outdoor use that you can use indoor and outdoor. Okay, but do not use your indoor extension cord outdoors because it's not rated properly. And temporary use is not 1 month. Temporary use is like a day or so. So everyone that's using extension cords for 1 month, they're actually exceeding the uh, what it's made for. It's made only for temporary use, not permanent. But just be aware of that. After the holiday times, unplug everything and put things away. I know you've seen people leave their Christmas lights on all year round, or it's during the summer and they're still up and stuff. So uh, just be aware. I mean, most people take theirs down, but uh, not everybody. Even on condominium townhouses, people like to use their lighting and leave it up for decoration. And I was talking to Martin earlier. The the clear lights that are not colored, okay, the white lights, people can, and these home and garden stores sell them for continuous year-round use, and they decorate their patio, their lanai. They use it to tie around their bushes and stuff, and they use it year-round. Now, this other similar lighting that are colored lighting that people call Christmas lighting, Christmas lights, that's really not the same. So in June, the summer, to see these condos having their Christmas lights up. That's not good. The house rules don't allow lighting all year round like that. They allow it only during the holidays, maybe 4 weeks at a time or something like that. Okay, so um, if you live in a condo, be aware of the rules. If you live in a high-rise condo, I've seen people decorating their lanai railing with lights and all that, and it looks pretty neat. But make sure you take it down. Make sure you follow the rules. If your condo doesn't allow lighting on your railing and things like that, then it's probably best not to do it. Check with the management and see. Little more about outdoor electrical safety. You want to use weather-resistant lights and decorations. Do not use indoor lights outdoors. It's not safe. And you got some houses that really go all out. And I mean, the lights are so bright you can see it down the street because there's a lot of them. And they decorate their railing, their porches, their posts, even all the bushes, and trees and all that. So, and it's fun to see all these different kind of lighting, that some people even have their decorations and characters that move around in the front yard and stuff. They even play music, so that's a good thing. Also, you want to use when you're doing electrical outdoors, you want to make sure that your outlets are properly grounded. They're three-pronged. And then there's what's called a GFI or GFCI protection, and that's ground fault circuit interrupter. And if you're using extension cords, you may want to have the GFI feature built into the extension cord, or your outlets serving your exterior are protected. Your circuit breaker is a GFI protected circuit breaker. So you may want to upgrade that just for safety purposes, because your outdoor lighting, what happens if it rains? Everything gets wet, right? Your wiring and your extension cords and all that. So um, water and electricity, they don't mix. So that's a safety precaution there. Okay, here's something very important for outdoor lighting. If you have a house that has overhead wiring, like you see in this picture, okay, as opposed to underground. The underground wiring, you don't have to worry about. It's the overhead wiring. Older houses have this, where you have your utility pole outside on the street, and then you have your main wiring coming in from your utility pole going to your house. Okay. The wiring from the utility pole going to your house is called service drop conductors, and it goes into this mask head, uh, which should be located above the roof of your house, but sometimes it's not. And so that's called a service entry. And then from there, that's where all your electricity comes from the utility company. And then it goes to an electric meter and then to a panel box with circuit breakers. Now, the service drop conductor, it could be real low. So if you're hanging Christmas lights, you don't want to have anything in contact with that service drop conductor. That's actually called your power line to your house. And it's live. There's electricity 24/7. So if you're decorating anything near that point, I would stay away from it. Don't put any lights around that area, uh, just to be safe. I know I heard a report a couple days ago that this one guy was stringing lights up at a building, and he was using this long pole. and somehow the pole came into contact with the service entry wire, and the guy got shot, and someone found him, cardiac arrest, lying on the ground, and he got taken to the hospital. So look around, look outside your house, and see where the wiring is. If you have overhead wiring, that's a red flag. You can still hook up electrical lighting, but don't go too close to the service entry power line. Just to be safe. Make sure your outlets are grounded. That's important. And that's the end of the presentation. What's the conclusion? The conclusion is to be safe. Always look at the label of your lighting, your outdoor lighting, indoor lighting, follow the directions. Also, extension cords, power strips, make sure they're not old. The wire's frayed. And your Christmas trees, make sure they don't get too dried out because it's very flammable. And it's just some of these things are common sense, but some may not be. It's a reminder. Always buy good quality lighting and things like that. There's a lot of cheap stuff on the market that may not be UL listed. I wouldn't even buy those because you don't know how safe it is and who actually manufactured those. Before I get to the questions, let me talk about what you missed on previous webinars. A lot of you have joined in on our webinars before, so you kind of know what the situation is. But some of you haven't been around for a while. Like, it's good to see Elsie joining us. We've given webinars on many topics continuing on building and construction issues and real estate, condo. We've given one on condo insurance and things. So it's all on our website. What's coming up? I'm going to be talking about in January effects of the Hurricane Milton that happened on the east United States. And then we have a whole list. Most of it is up already on our website that you can actually register and sign up for. And then we have expert websites and different things, asphalt, roadways, contractor licensing, roofing, painting, waterproofing. It's all there on our main website. We have blogs that you can read the articles. And then, like I said, we have different webinar topics we've given in the past several years. You can go to our website to get the books too, download free books on different titles. Our website is askbuildingexpert.now.site. It's a huge site. Every day we're adding more stuff to it. So if you're interested in how safe is your building, or cast iron piping, or you want to read about the Lahaina wildfire, or monster houses, or senior safety in the home, you can get these books, download a copy. They're not going to be available for free all the time because we're going to convert it. They're available on Amazon, but right now you can get it free. So I would download the book and safe keep it for now. And the books are all easy reading. You can read the book even if you're a slow reader, you can read the book in like an hour or so. Okay. I got about between 30 to 35 books up on our website. So take advantage. We also have websites, special websites that we made for each topic, like electrical, fire, life safety, and things like that. So we've been very busy during the past several years trying to get all the important information for you and to you so that you can learn and be educated and keep safe and protected. Now we get to the Q&A part. You got questions, we got answers. So I'm going to turn over to Martin and um, see if any questions came up from our Zoom platform or social media.
Yes, Lance. We've had a few questions come in through the different media we have. So hopefully you can hear me clearly and I can ask you a few of the questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. First one here is, what are the safest ways to prevent overloading electrical circuits during the holidays, especially when using multiple decorations and lights?
Don't overload your circuits. Your circuits, you already have, let's say you have one circuit and you have certain things in your house plugged into, like a lamp, TV, maybe your computer or whatever. Now you're adding, first you got to look to see where your circuits are, how it's separated, and you're adding more to it, right? So uh, it's easy to overload. And older houses, they weren't designed to have one room on a single circuit. So you could have 3 bedrooms, all your plugs and lights on one circuit. So imagine that, and now Christmas comes, and now you're adding more lights and all that to the same circuit. So that could be an overload. So don't just think because there's additional spaces on your power strip that you got more circuits. There's only one circuit that the power strip is plugged into. So if you have room to plug in 6 or 8 other plugs, it's not you got 6 or 8 other circuits. It's only one circuit. You just got more plugs plugged into the same circuit. So just be aware of that. That's a red flag. So you're not adding more circuits to it. You're just using up more power in the same circuit. And that's what causes overload or fires or things like that. So just, be safe.
Yep, safety first. Let's address this next one. It says, can you recommend specific types of extension cords or power strips that are best suited for outdoor holiday decorating?
Yeah, for one, you make sure that the label says UL, Underwriters Laboratory, because it's been tested, and you make sure that it says outdoor use. Now, a lot of power strips are for indoor use only. So if you're buying power strips at your regular stores that you shop at, right? That may be only indoor type. You would have to go to uh, Lowe's, Home Depot, City Mill, and make sure that the label says out for outdoor use or outdoor use only or something like that. And then the gauge is the thicker gauge. So of course, the thicker gauges cost more money. But when I buy outdoor uh, power strips and well, I don't use outdoor power strips that much, but extension cords. When I use outdoor extension cords, I pay a little more money for a thicker gauge. And then also you want to look and see, first measure how many feet you need of the extension cord. So if your extension cord area, you need 30 feet, don't buy a 20-foot one because then you have problems, right? And some people go, oh, that's not a problem because I have another 10-foot extension cord. So now you're connecting 2 to 3 extension cords to get the desired length you want. Um, just buy a longer extension cord, then you have more room, right? And it's easier. So the main thing is safety. Don't scrimp on money um, the safety issue comes first.
Very good, Lance. Thank you. Safety first. The next question that came up here through our media is, how often should I water a live Christmas tree to minimize the risk of it becoming a fire hazard? And are there any signs I should look for that indicates it's drying out?
Okay, so here's my question to that. Is the live Christmas tree in the ground or is it cut in a stand, right? Uh, I mean, if it's in the ground, you water it every so often, right? A lot of trees, and I visited Christmas tree farms, and they don't even water them that much. It's just they depend on nature. Now, if the tree is cut, the minute that the tree is cut, it's not getting any water, right? It's sitting at the Christmas tree lot, Christmas trees for sale, and but before that, it's cut. It's put into a container, Matson container, from Washington, Oregon, mostly, and it's shipped to Hawaii, in a refrigerated container. Then it's taken out of the container and it's displayed, on the lot, right? Wherever the lot is, okay? It's not getting any water during all those days that it's sitting there. Even when you buy it, you buy the Christmas tree, it's still not getting any water. If you don't put your tree up for a week, it's still not getting any water, but people say just put it in a bucket of water, right? So um, once you unwrap it and you set it up in the stand, you gotta, I would say, water it every day or check it twice a day and make sure the water's filled up. It's surprising how much that tree drinks up water. So you want to keep it well watered. Make sure there's water all the time. The other thing is just act like the tree is a water lily that's supposed to be sitting in water. Okay, that's a good thing to think about. Now, the telltale signs of the tree that's not getting any water, the pine needles are turning yellow, brown. They're falling off. A lot of them falling off. The tree just looks droopy. When you grab the leaves, it feels more brittle than pliable. It's supposed to be pliable, like if it's still in the ground, kind of thing. Um, and you just look at the overall look of the tree. If you kind of can tell if it looks too dried out and stuff. So um, imagine that you bought a Christmas wreath, right? And you hung it on your door. It never gets any water. So over time, it starts getting drier and more brittle. And um, but you're not watering it. It's not like a tree. It's just made of different branches from a tree. So you want to keep that tree hydrated. Some people actually get a water mister, water sprayer, and spray all the leaves. But um, I wouldn't advise doing that if your tree is decorated, because then you're spraying water on your lights, your tinsel, your ornaments, and all that. Um, and depends, your ornaments too. Some of them are actually metal, and if it's in contact with water, now it starts rusting. So that may not be a good idea. I think the misting happens when it's not decorated and you have all these leaves there to spray water on, and you're not spraying water on uh, ribbons and different types of decoration. Some people actually have little toys, so you don't want to be spraying water on the toy, especially if it's made out of wood and metal. So yeah, just be aware and look for these things.
That's right. Plus, you're going to get all your gifts all wet when you spray water all over. So you don't
Yeah,
want
you got to
do
put a
that.
tarp over it.
Okay. The next question we have is, what are some alternative, safer options to traditional candles for holiday decorations, and especially in homes with pets or young children?
Well, like I mentioned before, you use the battery type candles, which looks pretty much the same. They got all types now. That's safer because then you don't have a lit flame. Children have a tendency to like to play with fire or run around, and all all they need to do is bump into a table with a candle. The candle falls down, or something flammable, and next thing you know, the house is on fire. So I would advise not using candles per se, or if you're going to use candles at your dining table, make sure the candles are. What people do is they have like a little tray or plate or something that's filled with water. The candles are sitting in the candle holder in the tray of water. So that's just a precaution. I mean, if it's all adults, unless the adults are drinking, I don't think that's a problem. But if they're drinking, they might not be aware, knock a candle over or something.
Yes, very true. So we get one more here, and it's how can I safely store my holiday lights and decorations after the season to ensure they remain in good condition and don't pose a risk next year? Somebody planning ahead.
Oh, that's good. So you wanna, those plastic totes or tubs, you wanna store your lights in those because they're weatherproof, waterproof, and all that. Don't store your lights and decorations in cardboard boxes. Uh, that's kind of the worst container to use. And in the old days, that's all we had. But then you buy these plastic totes and stuff, and uh, they're they're lockable. You can latch it and all that, and that's safer, right? And don't store your stuff outdoors unless it's in a enclosed area. You don't want it exposed to the weather. I've seen people have storage boxes, cardboard boxes, and they had it in a garage, and then when it comes time for holidays, they take it out, and everything metal was all corroded because they got exposed to the salt air and stuff. So uh, safer to put it in containers that are plastic, and so they don't get wet or exposed to too much air and all that. And it's okay if you have attic space or store it in your garage and all that. That's fine because you're gonna take it out once a year. It's better to keep everything safe than just thrown around and subject to damage.
Okay, Lance, that's all we get as far as questions.
Okay, well, good. I know we're out of time, so on behalf of Martin, Pea, Lance Luke here, thank you for joining us. I know it was a little different type of webinar, but because it's the holidays, we decided to do this for safety. So uh, have a happy holiday. Stay safe. Water your Christmas tree if you have one. If you have an artificial one, you don't have to water it. Uh, and then, we'll join you guys in the new year. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Join us in January where we have a new series of webinars. So Martin, you have any last words?
No, just happy holidays to everyone. Yep, we'll see everybody as far as Ask the Building on January of 2025. Not that far off.
All right. Mahalo, aloha.
Aloha.